Good morning. You're really welcome to this morning's practice. So to begin our practice, I am going to ask you to lie down on your back. Get comfortable on your back. If you want to bend the knees, feel free to do that. If you want to throw a blanket over you, feel free to do that. Just take your time. And then as you get onto the back and you get still, just close the eyes and become aware of your breath. Very simple. We won't change the breath. We'll just notice it. So a huge part of our practice is interested in this idea of coming home to ourselves. And what that means is that for many of us, most of us, there tends to be resistances and blocks that we carry around, old wounding, old patterns, stuff that we've created in this life or we've inherited from our family's line. And these appear as suffering in our lives, periods of challenge, periods of discomfort in our lives. And the invitation of our practice is how to meet these places in a way that supports us in that coming home, in that sense of growth or evolution or our capacity to take what is difficult and use it to become the fuel or the food to bring us into places of greater understanding, or we could say to bring us into our hearts. And this idea that the heart, our hearts, are the place of real wisdom in us. But the heart is such a precious place that on some level, whether conscious or unconscious, we want to keep it safe. We want to protect it. So when we do experience things that are difficult, the inclination of the sympathetic nervous system is to protect us, and it compartmentalizes, it locks away the heart to keep it safe. But the price of that locking away is that we don't experience life as deeply or as richly or as profoundly as we are invited to by coming onto this planet, by becoming human. That there is this depth of experience that really fulfills us. It enriches us. It makes it all worthwhile. And all of that is inside of us. So our practice, these practices were devised as a means of beginning to take that journey inward, that path inward. And I'm going to read a few lines by the incredible John O'Donoghue, who speaks of this. It is impossible to be on the earth and avoid awakening. It is impossible to be on the earth and avoid awakening. Everything that happens within and around you calls your heart to awaken. As the density of night gives way to the bright song of the dawn, so your soul continually coaxes you to give way to the light and awaken. Longing is the voice of your soul. It constantly calls you to be fully present in your life, to live to the full the one life given to you. Rilke said to the young poet, "Live everything. Live everything." You are here on earth now, yet you forget so easily. You traveled a great distance to get here. The dream of your life has been dreamed from eternity. You belong within a great embrace which urges you to have the courage to honor the immensity that sleeps in your heart. When you learn to listen to and trust the wisdom of your soul's longing, you will awaken to the invitation of graced belonging that inhabits the generous depths of your destiny. You will become aware of the miracle of presence within and around you. In the beginning was the dream, and the dream was providence. So allow your awareness, your attention to be with your breath once more. In the beginning was the dream, and the dream was providence. Just notice the breath as it moves through you. is a sacredness to all life. And when we disconnect from our hearts, when our hearts are hidden away and protected, we only get to feel that sacredness through glimpses or moments. Something happens around us and we feel and remember. But the habit of protection is such a strong mechanism for us. The power of our mind to carry on disconnected from the heart is such a long tradition in our society. And this is really the bravest of work, to begin to take this journey from the mind back home to the heart. So as the heart awakens, as we learn to move into this space, the mind finds its place in the rhythm of all things. The mind is the servant of the heart to support us being in this relative experience of moving through this physical realm. So as you notice the breath, I want you to notice your hands. Without moving them, just bring your attention into your hands. Feel them. Feel the sensation that is in those spaces. And then from your hands all the way up to the shoulders, can you feel the whole of the arms? Noticing how it requires your attention to be here in your body. And you might find a steady connection to this awareness of the body. You might find it coming and going. And then bring your attention into your feet. Just feel the feet. Feel the sensation in your body. And then from your feet all the way up through the legs. And you notice to stay with the awareness of the legs. It requires a quality of focus. And just like riding a bicycle, the more you do this, the better your awareness gets at being anchored in this moment. One of the signatures of the sympathetic protective mechanism of the mind is that it's not in this moment. It likes to pull us off into different places, in the past, into the future. Through worry, anxiety, all the mights and the shoulds. Can you be in both your arms and your legs now? And when you become aware that your mind has wandered, there's no story, there's no drama, there's no dialogue, there's no issue. You just come back to the body. So our awareness that is so used to being usurped by the sympathetic mind, that protective structure of the mind, sometimes we refer to it as the ego, so used to being pulled out of the body in a sense. And our practice is re-embodying. This is an embodied practice of distributing our awareness back into our body, back into this moment. The idea that this moment is really the only place that life is happening. And we're learning how to be in this moment. And something begins to awaken in us as we develop our capacity to be in this moment. It's like a sense of ease or a sense of aliveness that enriches us. And it strengthens our capacity to meet whatever it is that we need to meet in life. So sometimes through the practice, and indeed through life, we move through challenges. And these challenges, in a sense, they're amplified sensation. So when you're feeling into your legs and your arms, you're noticing sensation. And the mind stays with the sensation, stays with it, and then you might notice the mind will wander. Because the sensation generally is relatively gentle. So what we do at times is we amp up the sensation. We move into situations that are a little triggering, they're a little uncomfortable, because they actually end up anchoring us more fully in this moment. And it's not that in our lives we go looking for suffering, but that is the point of suffering as it arises, when it arises. That it is interested in supporting us coming into that deeper space within ourselves. So we'll do some work with our breath, and we'll begin to move soon. We're going to do some deeper breaths. Now these breaths are relatively uncomfortable. I don't want you to strain or force, but to acknowledge or to recognize that it's not going to be easy to take these deep breaths, that there is some discomfort involved. You might feel a sense of lightheadedness or pins and needles moving through the body, and this is all perfectly normal. We're going to take 10 deep breaths. We're going to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth. We're going to breathe relatively rapidly. And then at the end of the last exhalation, the end of your 10th exhalation, and you've breathed all the air out of your body, you pause without inhaling. And as you pause, you really notice if there's any tension in the body that you could let go of. The idea that you could actually rest without breathing. Now this goes against part of what the nervous system will talk to you about or articulate within you, its desire to get tense because you're not breathing. But you're also then accessing something that's saying it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And when you need to breathe, you're going to take a deep breath. And when you take that deep breath, that first deep breath, you're going to hold it for about 10 seconds. And then we come back to the natural breath. And we just observe how the inner feeling has shifted or changed. Yeah? Okay. 10 deep breaths. whatever stage you're at, can you soften? And as you come back to your natural breath, simply observe how you're doing. Be awareness. Be spacious awareness. Okay, second round, 10 deep breaths. And again, whatever stage you're at, can you soften or relax? It's interesting that actually moving into a little bit of discomfort will actually increase our capacity to experience comfort. It's almost paradoxical. So we bring a conscious stress into the moment, into our experience. So we learn then how to metabolize it as a way of beginning to create almost the opposite, which is greater ease. And we each have this capacity, but it's the unconscious programming that keeps us locked in old patterns where the contraction becomes ingrained and rigid, and the body forgets how to let go and to soften, to be more open and receptive, whether it's our physical body, our mental experience, thought forms, or indeed our emotional body. So let's do one more round. 10 deep breaths, deepest breaths you can take. Again, at the last end of the last exhalation, we'll pause, we'll rest for as long as we're comfortable doing that. And then a deep breath we'll hold for 10 seconds. Again, notice if there's any tension in the body you can release. again as you come back to the natural breath. Just to be awareness. Notice the quality of your awareness, what's available now. And as we then move into movement, all we're going to do is increase that capacity to access stillness. Again, it's where these opposites work with each other. How the movement will actually bring us into deeper stillness. But so much of it has to do with the intention and the attention that we go through the work with, that we go through the moment with. So I'm going to get you to transition onto your hands and knees, onto all fours, and we'll take it from there. We'll come straight down onto our forearms, interlace the fingers, elbows underneath the shoulders, slide the knees back an inch or two, let the belly and lower back soften and relax a little. Any tension that you're aware of in the back, I encourage you to breathe into that space. And the first thing I'd like us to begin to do here is if we can, relax a little. To support that, let the hips sway a little from side to side, let the lower back, again, just soften. As the hips sway, you might bring a little gentle shrugging through the shoulders. Trying to imagine the body as more fluid. And really, if we want to experience our body in a way that is more open, more at ease, the mind holds the key to so much of what we experience. That the mind has these ideas, of us being rigid, stuck, tight, contracted. It only works this way. This is right, this is wrong. If we move into the heart, those ideas have less power over us. We know that our bodies are mainly liquid, if not energy. But even the idea that our body is 80% water, move a little as if you could feel that. Stay aware of the breath. Even take comfortably deeper breaths, just slow, long, deep breath. If you can, breathe through your nose. If you were then to press down through the forearms and not just lifting the back. So the tendency quite often when we press down through the forearms and elbows is that space between the shoulder blades rises up on its own and kind of rounds the back. I want you to soften, and then as you press down through the forearms, I want you to feel the cylinder of your neck. So it's not the head, but the neck pressing upward toward the ceiling. And the neck, of course, moves the head, but it also moves and fills the upper back. So this is a way of creating a balanced engagement through that space of the upper back, which gets so stuck for us. We hold anger in that space of the upper back. It becomes rigid and hard for a lot of us. So we want to get each of the major muscles in that area to begin to both engage and expand. And this is key. The old paradigm of working so many areas of the body, of getting them to engage, was to tighten them, make them smaller, compact. We're actually doing the opposite. Now breathe into the fullness of the upper back. And as you maintain that engagement of the upper back, can you notice the belly, the lower back, that lower waist, and let it soften again? So you almost have the sense of the bum is sticking up or tilting up a little. Like the top of the hamstrings are kind of stretching upward toward the sky without going too far, so you don't want to hurt anything or have any sharp pain. And anywhere you're noticing tension, you're bringing the breath. Breath will help you bring and maintain spaciousness, tissue expanding, create space between the bones, lets the movement of energy, of blood, happen more easily. There's all this communication happening within your body, these channels of information, energy moving. We want all of that to happen with ease, to create a flow in our body. Now, can you maintain the work that you're doing, which obviously is requiring some effort? Can you soften the hands? Can you relax your jaw? Can you relax your face? Without dropping, without sinking. And then could you bring a little sway through the shoulders and hips again? It doesn't have to be a big movement, it can be a tiny movement. The idea that you're doing some work that is engaging, that's creating some quality of rigidness in the body to engage muscle, to create stability. But you're also playing with the idea of fluidness. You're seeing, can those two qualities, almost opposites, inhabit the space, the same spaces? Perfect, okay. Let's pause, let's come up onto the hands. Spread the fingers. Look at the hands, the creases in the wrist are in line with the front of the mat, the fingers are spread. The inclination or the tendency will be to drop the weight to the wrists. I want you to, as you spread the fingers, bring the weight forward. So there's a gripping action through the fingers. And you feel the tips of the fingers and thumbs really anchoring into the earth. And then the base of the fingers, those knuckles right at the bottom of the fingers. Can you press down through all four of those? Now, again, this requires effort. Can you use as little effort as possible to maintain that alignment? So you just play with it. Sometimes you'll back off too far, and what happens is the base of the index finger will lift and the weight drops back. So we're always exploring the idea of economics within the body. Can we be economical with the effort we use? Bend the elbows a few inches to the sides of the room without moving the hands. Keep them where they are, but pull them toward each other and feel the engagement through the arms and chest. Maintain that as you re-straighten the arm, pressing the earth away, and that idea of lifting the neck again. Notice the widening of the upper back, the broadening of that space. Now when you need a break, please feel free to take a break. Lower back belly, soften. So we're maintaining or finding the curvature of the arch of the lumbar spine. Without moving the legs, push your knees away from each other. Feel that in the hips. And then one more thing on top of everything else that's going on, without moving, pull your hands backwards towards your legs. You feel the way it begins to connect you to your abdomen. The belly becomes longer and stronger. Now again, anywhere that's tight, you're breathing into that space. We're taking long, deep, steady breaths. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1. As you soften, we'll lift the hands off the floor. Let's take the left leg forward. We'll keep the ankle slightly forward of the knee. Very simple. First, I want you to feel the feet. So you have the toenails of the back foot, top of the back foot is down, and the pads of the front foot, and you're spreading the toes, you're pressing them into the floor on the 2 feet, and then very slowly we're going to sink the hips forward, just to whatever feels available. Feel free to stop at any point. If your back knee is too sensitive, you can pad it. Equally, if you engage the back foot a little bit more fully, it'll distribute the weight more evenly and create some relief for that back knee. So you work out what's appropriate. So you might find you go a little bit and you breathe for a few moments, and then that quadricep of the back leg begins to open up a little, and you might go a little further. And just breathing. So again, this initial idea of meeting what's uncomfortable, giving it time, being gentle with it, allowing it, and watching it begin to shift and change for us. There's no rush. You don't need to get anywhere in particular. Just be with what's arising for you in this moment. Be with what's here. Breathing as if you could breathe right into where you're feeling the holding in the body. Like it's bringing, the breath is bringing awareness, bringing consciousness, bringing energy into these places in the body. And these places that are overly contracted, overly work, in a sense there's a disconnect there. And you're re-establishing connection as you feel them, as you notice them. A few more breaths here. Perfect, okay. We're going to come all the way back. Very simple, we'll just change sides. Left leg back, right leg forward. Okay, before we go forward, we just bring it into the feet, feel into the feet. It's an anchoring process. You know, one of the other illusions that this sympathetic protective nervous system aspect creates in its rigidity is a sense of disconnection from everything. It's this, it always runs this story that I've got to do it myself, I'm on my own. So that imprint tends to be quite alive within us. So when you feel into the earth, you feel into the floor, you're beginning to dissolve that. You're beginning to create a new paradigm, which says the floor is here, I can feel it, it's solid, it's got me. This is the tantric perspective that we're part of the earth, that it's all the same stuff, us, the earth, the sky. It's all that one energy that shows or appears to be different, but actually it's the same stuff. So we feel into it, you feel, imagine you were sending roots down into the floor, and then from there we'll begin to sink forward a little, and we take our time. Stay aware of your breath. A few more breaths here. Okay, so we're going to come back, step the two legs back, we'll stay up on the knees, close the eyes. In fact, let's do this. Bring the two hands to the lower belly. Let that belly soften. And just tune into the breath through feeling that lower belly. So as you feel, as you notice the breath, as you notice this gentle movement in the body, again it allows the mind to anchor itself in the body. It allows us to come back to the simplicity of what it is that we are. And actually within that simplicity is the revelatory experience of how it all works. That these deepest truths, even these deepest truths that mystical traditions speak of, are all anchored in this moment, in our capacity to be here. Feel the breath. Perfect, and open the eyes. Okay, we'll do a little work with the hands and wrists because we're going to come back onto them. So just how we switch on these parts of the body. And again, what tends to happen with the body, and again, this is another issue with the sympathetic protective mechanism, is it'll shut down areas that just won't do the job they're designed to be doing. other areas then need to compensate, and this creates a paradigm in which we wear out quicker. Parts of the body just wear out. So we're interested in the idea of opening it all up, so it's all working as more of an integrated system. Yeah, sound good? So left hand faces us in front of us, right hand holds the left wrist. We drop the left hand toward us, so the fingers are now pointing toward our nose or our face. We squeeze the wrist, and with that hand holding the wrist, you squeeze as tightly as you can, and you're pulling or dragging downward, like you want to get that wrist and you want to pull it down to the elbow, so you're stretching it. Now maintain that and begin to stretch the left hand and fingers up and away from you. Doesn't matter how far you go. I don't want you to force. I want you to maintain the strength of engagement. Breathe 3. Stretch out through the fingers. 2, 1. And then relax. Begin again. Drop the hand towards you. Squeeze the wrist again. Drag downward. Stretch the hand and fingers away. And then release one more time. Drop the hand towards you, squeeze the wrist, drag down, stretch hand and fingers away. And again, release. Now, release the two hands, just hold them in front of you, eyes are closed, and feel. Most of you will feel the two hands or two wrist areas as very different. That one you worked with will have more of a lightness or expansiveness to it. So you're switching it on. So the tissue that holds the joint, you think about every joint in the body is associated with mobility. Joints are all about moving. But they can only do that if the tissue that holds them maintains a quality of spaciousness. Otherwise things compact and cartilage wears out and, carpal tunnel for this part of the body. So we're teaching these softer tissue how to expand. And again, it's that initial idea of how we create engagement and expansion simultaneously in the body. And this is a beautiful balance of masculine and feminine energies. The idea of something being powerful and strong, but being open and fluid all at the same time. Second side. Drop the hand towards you. Squeeze the wrist. Drag downward. Stretch hand and fingers away. And again. Squeeze, drag down. Stretch hand and fingers away. And then one more time, squeeze, drag down, stretch hand and fingers away. And again, release the two hands and just tune in, just feel. Now, because the wrist is switched on, the tissue is expanding, the movement of energy and information of blood through those areas increases, so the hand itself will be able to work more efficiently. It'll take less effort to maintain balanced engagement through the hand as we bring it back to the earth. Bring the two hands back to the floor. Spread the fingers. So you'll realize or you'll feel you need to work less, but you'll get more activation, more engagement, more balance. Little swaying of the hips, lower back relaxes again, belly relaxes. If you notice a tightening around the back ribs, you breathe into that space. A little shrugging through the shoulder, which encourages this space between the hips and the shoulders to elongate. Again, the tendency for the body, a lot of the body, to be overly contracted, overly small. As you work through the hands, press the earth away, lift the neck as before, front of the throat open. Gaze slightly forward along the floor if your eyes are open. Okay, very simple. The left knee lifts about an inch up off the floor and you bring it back down. And then the right knee. And then the left. Very simple. You're just lifting it an inch or two off the floor and putting it down. Now, as you're doing that, I want you to focus on the pelvis. And what you're actually doing is you're lifting the hip, and that's lifting the leg. You're lifting the hip, one side of the hip, the leg follows. You lift the other side, the leg follows. So you're activating that sacroiliac area. Nice and simple. You're still aware of the breath, trying to maintain the engagement through the hands, arms, upper back, broad. We're not sinking or slumping down. Okay. Could you now lift the knee and the foot at the same time? So it's a little bit more movement. This particular action also sets your thigh bone deeper into your hip socket. And this is a huge, healthy realignment, particularly for us in the West. Okay, a little further. Next time the right knee lifts, open the knee to the side, bring it back down, second side. Don't drop the head, don't drop the neck. Stay with it. If you find the wrists get sore, you could do the same stretch that we did. Next time the right knee goes out to the right, keep it there, pause, make circles with the knee. One direction and two directions, second side. And you'll be feeling tiredness in the hips because, let's bring it back, second side. We're working the hips in ways that they just don't often work. But the body needs to explore its potential. Two directions with the knee. Perfect. Now as you come back down, let the hips sway, let the lower back relax. Notice the breath. Shrug a little through the shoulders. Press the earth away, open the front of the throat. Belly relaxed. Okay, we're going to lift the right knee, foot, open the knee to the side. This time we're going to extend the foot and bend the knee. And extend and bend and extend, bend. A couple more times. Bring it down, second side, open the knee, extend, bend. Stay with it. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. And then come all the way down into the forearms one more time. Interlace the fingers. Don't sink the head down. Try to stay full in that upper back area. Keep the neck elevated. But equally, I want you to be gentle. And just come back to the breath, as if you were simply resting. Inhaling and exhaling. And then release the hands. We're going to come all the way up into the knees again. So, with the patterning of the sympathetic nervous system, of that protective mechanism within us, one of the ways it maintains power, maintains its activity, is continually promoting a quality of fear. That sustains its activity, it feeds it. So what we're interested in doing in the body is cultivating a quality of safety. And there are positions that you can bring the body into and areas of the body you can work with that it will really promote a sense of safety in the body. And again, what that does is it distributes awareness, energy more evenly through the body. So we're going to do a little bit more work with the pelvis. Okay, so we're up on the knees. First thing again I want you to do is feel into the floor. So spread the toes, feel the toenails on the floor, feel the top of the feet, even a sense of pressing the feet down into the floor. And without moving the feet, if you were trying to pull the toes toward the knees, you're creating a little bit of resistance there. And we're going to see, can we just sustain a bit of effort in that? Hands to the base of the glutes, and the base of the glutes is the first part that moves. Yeah? So quite often the belly wants to move and bring us back. I want the base of the glutes to press back into the hands, and you go back about halfway toward the feet. Now, you'll notice the feet will be more anchored automatically as we do that. The hips are a huge anchoring energy within the body. Keep the glutes pressing back into the hands. I want you to keep that even as we move around. Keep the bum pressing back, but then slowly come up a little and sit back a little. Now just breathe. The gaze is forward if the eyes are open. The sternum is lifted. We're not sinking down looking at the floor. Upper body has a quality of buoyancy or spaciousness to it. You're breathing, ribs are full. We're just moving here. Take a break if you need a break for 5, 4, 3, 2. Go back and pause here, and you'll notice everything's switched on. So this again is an important quality. It's expanded through the glutes and the back of the legs. The whole cylinder of this whole area is engaging and working. All of it working together as a team. And then we'll come forward and down onto the forearms. And we just get to pause and rest for a few moments. Let the hips sway, let the lower back relax. Notice the breath. Perfect. A few more breaths here, just take it easy. Okay, we're going to come back up onto the knees. So our structure is very much like most structures in nature. You think of a tree, there's a rooting quality and a rising quality, and one promotes the other. Even though they're opposites, moving in opposite directions, they actually support and heal and maintain and strengthen each other. So when we create stronger foundation, our capacity then to open and expand, because the foundation creates that sense of connection, that promotes a sense of safety, a sense of I'm at home in my body, then the rest of us that is designed to move out into the world, to be expansive, to move toward the light, it increases. It's safe to open up. So that's what we're looking for through the practice. So feel into the feet again. Anchor through the feet. Same action through the pelvis. You can hold the base of the glutes just to know what part you're moving back. You move back to the point where you just feel, okay, all of this is switched on. Then we're going to go up to the ribs, holding the lower ribs. Fingers are at the front, thumbs are at the back. And we're going to take some deeper breath and really try to fill the ribs up. And as you feel the ribs expanding, filling, pressing out into the hands, don't change the legs or hips, but lift your ribs up. Lift one, lift the other, lift one, lift the other, like you're pulling, opening up this mid-region, elongating it, creating space for the vertebrae, lengthening it. And trying to keep the hips there, we're going to arc over to the right. So that whole left side gets a lengthening and you're breathing into what you're meeting. And we'll come back through center, deep breath, fill it up again. And we'll go to the second side. And we come back and then let it all relax. Just come on up, close the eyes. Let's take the hands to the lower belly again. Let the belly soften. Notice the breath. Okay, let's open the eyes one more time. Hands to the base of the glutes, feel into the feet, sit the bum back. Sit back so you're anchoring and engaging, balanced. Hold the ribs, fill and lift the ribs. Full arc over to one side. So if we're arcing over to the right fingers then go to the floor. No weight. If you find you can't get down to the floor, you might have a book or something underneath you that you can touch. Even your ability to actually push that bottom hand down, so as you press down, it helps the other side begin to lengthen a little bit more. And I want you to again breathe into the tension. Not to the point that you're struggling, but yes to the point at which you're meeting some uncomfortable holding. Breathe, bum is still back. Breathe 3, breathe 2, breathe 1. We'll come all the way back. Let's just relax for a moment. Just pause. Be here with as little effort as you can. Notice the breath. And then notice if things feel different on the two sides of the body. Okay. Sit the bum back. Fill the ribs up, lift the ribs up, arc over to the other side, hand toward the floor. Again, you might notice the two sides are different. If you want to put a support there, take your time. Breathe. Just give the body time. Breathe 3. Breathe 2. And then we'll come back again. And again, just relax here. Nice work. Okay, let's open the eyes. We go one step further. Left leg forward. Right angles this time. So you got the left ankle right underneath the knee. We'll keep the left hand up on the knee. We're going to bring the right down to the floor. Now lightly initially, so you don't dump the weight. It's a great practice to notice where you tend to dump in the body. Like this is one of the great things about an embodied or a physical practice, is it can give us great information because it's very practical, it's very in your face in a sense. It can tell you what's going on. And for most of us, again, we'll tend to over-rely on certain areas, which makes the body weaker. So we'll tend to collapse into parts of the body. So as you move, try to move with lightness and try to move with fluidness as best you can. Okay, slide that hand a little further to the right, spread the fingers. Remember what we did with the hand. A good alignment for the arm is the crease of the elbow lines up with your thumb. That helps the alignment of the shoulder, and of course this bottom shoulder or right shoulder will be taking the weight of the body. We want it in healthy alignment. Breathe. The front of the body, for most of us, wants to turn down. I want you to turn toward the front leg and then take the left hand to the left ribs as before. Breathe into not only the ribs you're holding, but have a sense of the whole rib cage expanding as you breathe. And as it fills, push the earth away through the bottom hand so the ribs you're holding are arcing upward and opening and lengthening. Go to what feels available and breathe into that space. Perfect. Stay with that. Take the left hand to the back of your neck. Cup the back of your neck. Your left arm is horizontal, so it's not pointing down and it's not pointing up. It's horizontal. I want you to lean back into your hand. Lean back. So like you're pressing the neck back, like we did earlier. Press the neck back. So eventually the top left elbow was tilting now toward the right. Breathe into what you're meeting. Breathe 5. Bottom hand arm steady, strong. Breathe 4. 3. 2. 1. And then soften. Come on up. Step back. Close the eyes and just notice. Perfect. Second side. Okay. Left hand down. Hand and arm strong and steady. Right hand to the ribs. Fill the ribs as you press the earth away and begin to open up that right side of the ribs. Enjoy. Breathe. Hand to the back of the neck. Arm horizontal. Lean back now. Breathe for 3. For 2. 1. Perfect. And then we'll release. Let's come on back. Let's go back to the first side one more time. Left leg forward, left hand up on the knee. Right comes down. Engage. So any part that's going to be foundation, we want to have it as optimally aligned and engaged as we can, and that then will promote more of a capacity to expand and open. It's safer. Okay, hand to the ribs, a little shrugging through the two shoulders as we explore the space through the rib cage. We want it all to be full as we then begin to push the earth away, open up the top ribs. Okay, the head, for most of us, wants to go off and do its own thing, wants to turn up or twist down. Bring it to neutral. Now, this time I want you to take the left hand right over the crown of the head, so the elbow's almost in front of your nose. Again, notice if your head's twisted up, bring it back to neutral. Press the head into the fingers and the fingers into the head. It's like your left elbow wants to stretch forward. Notice the broadening of the upper back. Breathe, breathe, press the earth away. Now, if you want to go further, tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee up, top elbow stretching toward the right, and then can you turn the head, neck, and body as one piece toward the sky? Breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then for 1, we lower it down. Okay, perfect. Come up, close the eyes, notice the breath, no work here. Okay, we open the eyes, right leg forward, hand on knee, hand on floor. Take your time, be fluid, particularly as you're going into these poses. The fluidness allows us to find more space. Hand to the ribs, breathe, press the earth away, hand to the crown of the head, head neutral. Like the alignment of where the head tends to sit for most of us most of the time, and then where we notice it going to, really speaks to us about this idea that the head is off doing its own thing. It's not connecting to the body. That's our job. Realign it. Teach it to be in line with the heart. Press the head back. Maybe the elbow stretches over to the left a little bit. And if you want, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. If you want, breathe. Maybe you get to turn a little to the sky. Breathe into the tightness for 3, for 2, and then for 1. Perfect. Step back all the way back to hands and knees. All the way back to hands and knees. Come down onto the forearms. One hand rests flat on top of the other. Elbows go wide. We'll rest the forehead down. Settle here. Just come back to the breath. Just notice the breath. Notice the inhale and the exhale. Stay with the breath. Let the body soften. And as you let the body soften, can you bring the attention right in between the shoulder blades and breathe into that space? Breathe into that space. Perfect. And then I want you to slowly, easily move over onto your backs. That's it. Get comfortable on your back. If you want to use a blanket, if you want to put something over the eyes, feel free to do that. Extend the 2 legs out. Let the feet be a little wider than the hips. Little space between the arms and the torso, and if it's comfortable, the palms face up toward the sky. So we rest in this receptive, open position. Again, the truth is, particularly in this moment, we're safe. We're safe. And yet for many of us, even though we're not aware of it, deep down there's a little voice going, you're not safe, you're not safe, you're not safe. Perpetuating itself, feeding itself, maintaining contraction. And in the face of any of that, we're opening. Which is a radical practice. And whether we're aware of it or not, or conscious of it or not, it's happening to some extent for most of us, most of the time in our lives, if not all of the time. And we certainly see it in the world around us. The results of this paradigm, this perpetuation of fear that creates the drama that we see in our world. And our practice is this intention of shifting, of growing through that, of using it as an opportunity to step into greater freedom, to move more deeply into the heart, and then bring that quality into not only our own lives, but into the world. Notice your breath. Notice your inhalation and your exhalation. And very intentionally invite your body to sink down into the earth. Pulsation of life. Begin then to take some deeper breaths. And if you feel like stretching, you want to stretch the arms over your head. Take your time. And then when you're ready, bend one knee at a time. Roll over to your right side and get comfortable there. Blessed be the longing that brought you here and that quickens your soul with wonder. May you have the courage to befriend your eternal longing. May you enjoy the critical and creative companionship of the question, who am I? And may it brighten your longing. May a secret providence guide your thought and shelter your feelings. May your mind inhabit your life with the same sureness with which your body belongs in the world. May the sense of something absent enlarge your life. May your soul be as free as the ever-new waves of the sea. May you succumb to the danger of growth. May you succumb to the danger of growth. May you live in the neighborhood of wonder. May you belong to love with the wildness of dance. May you know that you are ever embraced in the kind circle of God. May you know that you are ever embraced in the kind circle of God. Take your time and bring yourself back to a seated position. If you prefer to sit in a chair, please feel free to do that. And when you get there, close your eyes. So the sound Om. Take a deep breath. you continue to chant, feel the sound in your body. Three more. Bringing your two hands together in front of your heart and allowing your attention to be in that space of the heart, just to feel what's there for you. We ask that our practice be a way in which we move more deeply into this space of the heart. part of that experience will be meeting grief and sorrow, sadness, loss. But the heart can hold all of this, recognizing that it's all part of this human experience. And as we learn to meet what is difficult, we also learn to meet what is joyous, what is full of love and compassion, possibility, adventure. We meet ourselves. And as we meet ourselves more deeply, more really in this moment, we meet all of life. That this one life is moving through each of us, a golden thread which connects all of us to ourselves, to each other. We bow. Namaste. Blessings. So thank you for joining me this morning. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do that. I'd appreciate it. We have a month of meditations happening this month of May, and there are still spaces for anybody who'd like to hop on board. You're more than welcome. It's just a simple daily practice, but the key is it's a daily practice, so it really does begin to, all of that stuff I was speaking of through the practice today. It really is a way of beginning to drop deeper into those spaces, this daily practice that teaches us how to honor that part of ourselves on a daily basis. How do we begin our day with turning toward that place within ourselves, feeding and nurturing that place? So that then can inform us as we move through our day. So you can do that live via Zoom at 8 a.m. GMT in the morning, or you can get the recording and do it whatever time suits you. And then next month in June, we're doing some evening practices, Wednesday evening practices. Again, you can do those live via Zoom or get the recordings. And again, they're those longer practices that really do help us drop deeper. We meet our edge, but we also meet that place of deep peace within us much more readily. And there's 5 of those over the course of June, and there's an early bird rate as well for anyone who wants to sign up early. And I'll put information out about that next week. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope it's full of laughter and fun and love. Take care.